Pawsters, and welcome to our loyal Pawscast. So today we are going to be talking about pandemic puppies. So this is a little bit late in the season of pandemic puppies, but we're going to go over it nonetheless. And I just wanted to touch base on this because it's been a huge topic for me and my training clients because I have released a puppy course. So it's been a huge topic of discussion. So, what is a pandemic puppy and why is it not referred to in the best light? So, a pandemic puppy is a puppy that was not only adopted during the pandemic, but usually one that is described to have some behavior challenges because of it. What we are seeing in the training world right now is an influx of dogs, like around like 6 months to a year, that have issues, even a year and a half, that have issues with controlling their behavior and, more importantly, separation anxiety as well. So, this causes problems when the world starts to go back to normal. Their humans start to go into work again, and they start having to be alone more often. They start wanting to take them to the parks and to places that are dog friendly and patios and to their friend's house for a walk and hiking and stuff, and then they can't control their dog. So, this is going to cause problems for that family that wants to go back to normal and have friends over, but their dog's too scared, etc., and go back to work for 8 hours a day when the dog has hardly been left alone. So most of these puppies were adopted because of the gap in the person's life, like due to the restrictions and the changes in their work. They're working from home and maybe their kids were home a lot. And when they needed to get back to some normalcy, it started to become an issue for the owner and the dog. So this is causing a big problem now, and I mean, we're 3 years in, and it's starting to crop up a lot in dogs that are about a year to 2 years old now. So the reason that a pandemic puppy is said with a bit of callous behind it is just because it's not the puppy's fault that they are dealing with these behaviors and have these behaviors, but they end up, having to go through it, and their families do as well. But don't worry, this doesn't mean that it's over for that pandemic puppy and it's not going to be able to overcome these challenges. It just means that the owners need to find some time in their normal lives that they've gone back to train their puppy and focus on creating harmony with them so that they can cope in the life that they are going to have from now on in post pandemic. So they're going to need some help. If they're going to need help, then they need to be willing to invest in some professional training. Even the most experienced of owners may need help in this situation so that they can navigate these new behaviors and focus on their dog's behaviors at this time so that they live in peace with their dog. So, I mean, we never get a dog with the intention for it to be a stressful experience. So, I mean, when people go back to work and they start to have problems with their dogs, it can be very stressful. So stressful, in fact, that it has been extra hard on the rescue world and in the rescue side of things because there has been an influx of people wanting to rehome their dogs and their puppies because of these behaviors that are kind of unbearable to live with, but they don't want to pay the money to fix it, or they can't afford it, or they don't have the time. And, these behaviors have been left too long and they're really out of control. So that has been another side of it, of the pandemic puppies that have really been affecting the rescue side of things. So it's really unfortunate for the puppy and the dog because they don't get the chance that they deserve. And it's also really stressful and frustrating for the owners. And we totally understand both standpoints. So let's go over why socialization is important and what it is. So socialization is probably more than you think it is, and you may have seen some of the memes and pictures that have been floating around about what socialization is versus what it actually is. And I really love those because there's one that has like a pie chart. I'll see if I can post a link to it in the description. But it's not just meeting different people and dogs. It's all about being able to cope with their surroundings, stay calm and happy, and not have to interact with every person and dog they see, because that is not a well socialized dog if they have to react to every single thing that they see or hear or try to interact with. They need to be able to cope with their surroundings. So, no matter what's going on, right, you want to have a dog that will listen and interact with you and be able to stay calm. It's about also about having, body handling skills and nail trims and grooming, and being able to be alone comfortably is a huge one. And just having basic skills that you need every day with a dog that you live with. It's so important because dogs need these things and these skills to live in our society and be a welcome member in our family and community without the stress and frustration. And when they don't have this, then it starts to cause problems, and the dog ends up being the one that pays for it, even though they weren't properly equipped and guided to live in our society. So, dogs need socialization within the first 4 months of their life is the biggest part of socialization. After that, new things may be harder for them to cope with and accept, and it's going to take longer for them to be able to cope with those new things. So, socialization for outings, when you're going to see different sights, sounds, smells, people, dogs, animals, different environments, interacting with different dogs and stuff like that as well. Sights and sounds of the smells and things in the cities, like towns, traffic, things like that. Kids in the distance, or even just meeting kids. Possibly different surfaces like pavement versus grass versus gravel versus sand, and rocks and slippery surfaces, rain, things like that. Wind too is a big one. Teaching them how to interact with the world outside their home. It's just, that's a huge thing that pandemic puppies have missed out on. Another big thing is practicing being home alone. So they have to practice being home alone comfortably as young as possible. And the younger that we do it, if we get them home at 8 weeks and we start to practice being calm when they're home alone and they can be home alone comfortably, then you're going to have less of that separation anxiety as they grow older. There will be a chance that they can always get it. There's always a chance, depending on your lifestyle and the dog. But if you practice with them the same things and helping them grow and cope with being alone together, being alone, then that is not going to be an issue, and it shouldn't be an issue as they grow and you have to go back to work. So, what did the pandemic puppy miss out on, right? They missed out on the proper socialization, right? So, due to isolations and restrictions, they didn't see people coming over. You didn't see friends coming over. You didn't meet up with friends for a hike or something like that with their other dogs. So, they didn't get to go on hikes with other dogs. They didn't get to train with distractions and guests in your home. So, you might have friends coming over now and you're asking your dog to sit and they don't even know what's going on. So, I mean, that can be very frustrating, right? They may not have gotten proper play skills with other dogs if they weren't able to meet other dogs. And this isn't a huge issue. Usually, dogs will be able to adapt to that. But that's also important, if you do plan on meeting up with other people that have dogs, or you want to put them in boarding and stuff like that while you're gone and you're going on trips and traveling and stuff, then you want your dog to be able to be comfortable around other dogs, right? Especially if you're putting them in some kind of daycare boarding situation, if that's the right fit for them. So yeah, they might not have had exposure to kids as well. Especially like even if you have kids in your home, they'll get used to those kids, but they might not know what to do with kids that are screaming and playing and running around out at a park or something like that, right? So I mean, they also missed out on group classes and puppy classes. So they're going to practice basic skills, and they're going to have distractions and be in a different environment and see other dogs, different shapes, sizes, everything, different kinds of people. They're going to learn to be alone without a pandemic a lot quicker. And, just seeing different sights and sounds and stuff like that as well. So they missed out on a lot of experiences. One of the other questions that you might have about a pandemic puppy is, what behaviors are we seeing because of this, because it's a pandemic puppy? So, one of the things would be reactivity. So, to dogs, people, or just things in public, like different objects and things that they haven't seen before, they're going to be more reactive, either highly excitable and unable to calm down, or the other way, they're going to be fearful and react in a, fearful or offensive, defensive kind of mode. They're going to have separation anxiety, which is the biggest one with pandemic puppies, of course, because they are not able to be alone. And we see a lot of dogs with that have fear issues and anxiety because they weren't, properly socialized to the environment. So yeah, I also I'm not sure if other trainers have seen this, but I know I have been seeing an influx in resource guarding as well. So I'm not sure. I am going to take a guess that dog owners are home all day, and they might get a bit complacent and start rules and things like that start to kind of take a back burner. So I mean, or they might get busier, and then those rules and stuff become less prominent. So routine and stuff kind of goes out the window, and the dog kind of, takes it and runs with it. And gets a little insecure, and the resource guarding starts cropping up. So, I mean, these things have been the most prominent things that I've seen. If you guys have any comments on what behaviors you think that most pandemic puppies show, then that would be great to see in the comments below. It's really awesome when people can see the comments and know that they aren't alone with their pandemic puppy, because you know what? It's we are all in this together. So I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, well, I have a pandemic puppy and I feel like it's all my fault and, this, and this, because it's totally not. And you know what? We all just have to do the best that we can to socialize our puppies in this world that we're living in right now. So, I mean, yeah, so how that brings me to the next thing, which is how can I help my puppy now that he's a pandemic puppy and he's got that branded onto him, he's got some reactivity or separation anxiety or fear or, so on. We're going to start to slowly prepare them for the world to open up, right? So you can try to simulate things that you're going to do with them. So if you have a date that you're going to be going back to work and they're going to need to be home, or you kind of have a routine that you'll have when you go back to work or your kids go back to school, etc. Or you have things that you're going to expose them to, like traffic and things like that, then you could play traffic on YouTube, right? While you give them a Kong in your living room and you do some laundry or cleaning or something like that. Get them used to things like that. You can do that around the house. You can also sit on your front step and just let them kind of experience things around them. You don't have to dive right in, right? So, go slow, go at a pace that they are okay with and a pace that you can do. And make sure that they are getting rewarded for the positive experiences and you're trying to create positive experiences slowly. You could also hire a professional and look into classes near you that will be tailored to your dog's needs and their behavior problems that are cropping up. And don't overlook the small behavior problems that are coming up now. So, if your dog is starting to have a little bit of crate anxiety, a little bit of barking, or a little bit of, this and that, we really, really, really don't want to ignore those behaviors. So once they start cropping up and we start seeing a little bit more of anxiety in our dogs or so and so because of change, contact a professional that you trust in your area, and let them know what's going on, and so that they can be proactive in that situation, right? They can help you be proactive instead of, I have a dog who's demand barking for 6 months now. He's been practicing this behavior. It's basically ingrained in him, and now I want help, right? We always want to be proactive. At least here at Loyal Paws, I always encourage proactive training. So don't overlook those small behaviors that are cropping up. If they're starting to be an issue and stuff like that, or they're kind of new, let us know as soon as you can, and we will do the best we can to help you out. So, you'll also want to practice cues slowly. So, I mean, if there's cues that you know that he'll need in the bigger, greater world outside of your home, practice them in every room of your house, practice them in your backyard, your front yard, start creating distractions inside your home so that they can start to generalize those cues. You can also practice time home alone. So this is a huge one. And just know that it takes time for an adult dog to adjust to new things and routines, especially if they are on the more fearful or anxious side, right? So you're going to want to go slow, make sure they're comfortable and you're not moving too fast and pushing them too far so that they're reacting to what's going on. You want to practice alone time with them before you start work and, leaving them home for 8 hours a day. So, I mean, we talked a lot about being comfortable at home, and it didn't feel right to end this without giving some kind of tips on some separation anxiety and how to prevent that or to kind of get a hold of it before it gets too far. So, I'm going to go over some separation anxiety tips. Now, these are not going to fix severe separation anxiety. They're not even going to fix probably mild separation anxiety, but these are things to help you make sure that you're setting your puppy up for success. You can start these things if your puppy does have separation anxiety, but I really encourage you to contact a trainer, a professional certified positive trainer. That could be myself or someone local to you, to go over separation anxiety with your dog, because every dog is different and not everything will work with everything. And you need to make sure that you're tailoring your separation anxiety training plan to your specific dog and situation. So, one of the first tips is going to be kennel conditioning. So, they learn that it is an awesome place to be, making it a safe place and a valuable place to be, right? So, feeding them in it, etc., and so that they're able to self soothe in there. You're going to take puppy breaks even when you are working from home. When they get time alone in their kennel, even if you are home, then that is going to prepare them. And you're going to have mental stimulation plan for when you're gone. So Kong recipes, have multiple Kongs ready for the week and in the freezer so that you're not scrambling in the morning and just throwing a little bit of peanut butter in there that's not really great for their diet or health. And it's not going to do too much. Have things ready to go before your week starts. Have some snuffle mats or safe chews, and make sure that they're set up for success before the week starts. For the last one, it is probably one of the bigger ones, is ensure that you don't leave them alone for longer periods of time infrequently, but rather short periods of time frequently. So if that it like to make sense of that, so the longer periods of time, more than like 3 hours, uh don't seem as daunting to them. So if you leave for 8 hours every single time that you leave your dog, then they're going to think that every time you're getting ready, it's going to be for a long time. And that can seem very daunting to your dog, especially a puppy and one who is kind of anxious and has trouble being home alone. So if they're having trouble being home alone, then leaving for long amounts of time infrequently is going to make it worse, because they're going to think, oh no, she's leaving. It's going to be for the rest of the day. And they're going to start to panic, right? So instead, you can prepare them for leaving by leaving for short amounts of time frequently. So dropping kids off at the school. 10 minutes down the block takes you 10 minutes to drop them off at school. Leave your dog at home instead of bringing them with, and leave them home with a frozen Kong, so they won't even be done by the time you get back, right? Going to pick up some food instead of getting it delivered to your house that's local, right? Things that take, things short amount of times, right? Take your kids outside to play for 30 minutes, but leave your puppy inside, right? So use these opportunities in these situations where you can be home and they don't have to be home for long periods of time. That is going to go a long way, and make sure that your dog isn't feeling anxious before you leave, because they have to be in their kennel for long periods of time, right? So, anyways, this is all that I got for today. We do have our puppy and me course online. It's ready to go. It's also on sale for 50% off right now, which is huge. You don't get this very often, but we really just want to see people be able to get their puppies socialized, get their body handling, you name it, you got the course goes over it. So it's 50% off right now, which makes it $75. You get lifetime access, you get interactive journal, which is just a great way to raise your puppy alongside the help of a professional who has the answers to your questions whenever you need it, which is me, myself. I will be there with you the whole way. You get lifetime access to this, so it's a one-time payment. It's just a really great way to be able to go, hey, my puppy is biting right now. I'm going to go and look at this course. Hey, my puppy's having trouble with crates. I'm going to go and take a peek in this course. You know, you have those answers there for you. It goes over resource guarding, prevention, body handling skills, nail trims, grooming, bath times, literally everything, greeting people in your home. It goes over so many things, and I really just want you and your puppy to succeed so that you don't have to say, I have the dreaded pandemic puppy and they have this, and this behavior issue. So please let me know if you guys have any questions, but that is on sale for now. The link will be in the description below. I highly suggest signing up for it while the course is on sale right now, and especially for puppies that are under 6 months old. That is the key right here. You need to get them socialized between before they're 4 months old and under 6 months old. For sure. That is all that I have for you guys today. I hope that everything in this quick little podcast episode gave you some insight into what a pandemic puppy is and a little bit about socialization and separation anxiety. Please feel free to ask questions. You can either ask them in the comments section or you can even just PM me as well. I also have a Facebook group called Loyal Posters. So if you want to join that and ask questions, it's a great community to do that in as well. I just want to say a quick thank you for listening today. We always appreciate every listen to the podcast, and feel free to share and spread the word about the podcast. We have it on many different platforms, including Spotify and YouTube. So we just want to keep creating them and getting that training information out there so that you guys can listen to it and take advantage of some free information. With all that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day and happy training, one paw at a time.